Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good evening and welcome. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and here tonight we're supposed to fight CPS and stop taking our children. It's a warm welcome to all my listeners, to my regulars, to people around the world and in the United States. My broadcast is live. You found me on Facebook, Fighting CPS. I'm broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 shows. I've been doing this now for over a year, and I've done over 700 shows. I've talked to over 600 people in every state, including Washington, D.C. I've talked to 18 countries, from Bangladesh to India, to the Middle East, to Africa, to Europe, to North America, South America, and into the Pacific with Australia and New Zealand. So people worldwide are experiencing problems with CPS. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father, a family man. I have 42 years of marriage. I have 8 children. And so sad to say that my family now is down to 4. I used to be a family of 8, but I'm down to 4. And a lot has to do with the CPS abductions of one of my children, which I'll talk to you shortly. But I want to thank Mr. Davis for his continued support to the public here, to others that don't have the funds necessary to hire him. He gives a lot of his free time, and he'll talk to you. He will talk to you. And as he said, he has this Saturday, every Saturday at 9:30. Now, what he means by that is that he will be on a Zoom question and answers and give you the insights to help you fight CPS and to help you get your children back. It's a horrible entity, the CPS is, and I don't like to see you face alone. So people come back to me day after day. You know, I have some regulars in here that have been really beneficial and helped me. Now, I'm putting messages up on the screen to show you how you can interact with this podcast. There's the first one that you're reading. And those are for text messages. Now, Vincent Davis is a dependency attorney, schooled in juvenile and family law. What you need to do is you need to find an attorney like Mr. Davis. He's available if you want him. His number is 888-888-6582. You can call into the office, tell him that Bob Pace sent you, and that you can hire him right away, and he will help protect your children and get them back. I was listening to one of his question and answers podcasts, Office Hours, and he was talking about how evidence has to be submitted in court. Otherwise, it's all hearsay. If a social worker puts their stuff on paper and doesn't provide it, it's all hearsay. So you need to bring witnesses into the courtroom. Like a doctor who says that you're fine, there's no medical problems with you. You need to bring that doctor so he can testify to that. So that's really, really, really important to you on that. Now, besides text and messages, you can also be a guest on my podcast. And there's directions on that. All you have to do is pick one of my 14 podcasts, morning or afternoon, Monday through Sunday, and you email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. I want to thank her for what she does. She works really hard to produce this podcast and many others. I again thanks Mr. Davis for what he does. He works hard and he gives a lot and he cares a lot. So all you have to do is send an email to her, grace at vincentwdavis.com. Now I'm putting my number up, and that's the number you can call in right now. I can take calls. If you call me before my show time or after my show time, I cannot take the calls. It's 626-698-0990. The other number, 888-888-6582, is the law office of Vincent W. Davis. You can get other attorneys besides dependency law. Let's say you want a criminal attorney or a divorce attorney or immigration attorney, or you need someone that will help you in school, like maybe a lawsuit or something like that. He has every attorney known. But the one that deals with CPS is dependency court. Now, I keep using the word CPS. I translate to mean the child protection system. It's all encompasses all the child protection systems out there. Every state, every county has a system. It may not be the same in each state. Even in California, with two counties next to each other, Orange County is the Child Protection Service, CPS, but in LA, it's the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS. And they're like next door to each other. In Arizona's Department of Children's Services, DCS. In Kentucky, it's the cabinet. So whatever it is, when I say CPS, I mean all the entities out there, all the entities. And I do hate to have to tell you that this entity is pretty bad because it was mandated by Congress that a branch of social services would protect their children from neglect and abuse. And the way they do that is that they receive phone calls from individuals, either professionals or lay people. The professionals are like your doctors, your nurses, school teachers, people that work with children as a living. They take special classes and they learn about child abuse and child neglect and how to report and so forth. So most of the time, when they report it, it's pretty much necessarily true. The other group of individuals, and that's the one that I hate, are the lay people. They don't have to give them their name or phone number, but they'll call in, and a lot of them call in. I would say probably 90% of the people that have talked to me, that's over 600 people, have said that they were accused wrongly. Their children were in danger. I know firsthand, my children were not in danger. They were taken from school. They were put into danger. And why do you think CPS wants to do all this? It's the money thing. It's money to them. More money. It's $1 trillion business. There's over 500,000 children right now being investigated in the United States. That's 500,000 children. That's like 5 football stadiums. If you want to think about it, think of 5 football stadiums with 100,000 people in each one. That's how many of our children are being investigated. And sad to say, over 1,000 children go unreported, that they are killed or hurt or damaged because they're not being followed up. We do need CPS. I'm not saying get rid of it, but we need to make some changes in it. And they made a change in 1997. President Clinton signed into law called the incentive law for CPS. They're given money if they get the kids to be adopted in foster care. They're trying to get away from family reunification. That's wrong. So this agency is supposed to be, protect your children from neglect or abuse, is also supposed to provide aid in the forms of food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education, and medical, and also help you get a job. That's what they're supposed to do. And on top of that, if they need to take the child out because the child is in extreme danger, they will do so. And but you don't want them like to take your child because more horrible things will happen. They're so greedy to take children. They want to get the money. CPS cannot be trusted. They have a crutch on a shoulder, and they will retaliate. They're not honest. They do lie. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You need a bona fide attorney. A court appointed or public defender is not going to help you. They're only trained in minimum law. They're paid by the social services workers, the CPS, and they really don't fight for your case because they don't know about dependency law. That's the area you're in there. In fact, there are two questions you need to do. My rule number one is you must have an attorney. And the two questions you ask is, one, are you a juvenile family dependency lawyer who has fought CPS and won? And secondly, have you ever filed a lawsuit against CPS and won millions of dollars either in the state court or the federal court? The answer to both those questions, yes, you found an attorney. Then it's up to you to negotiate your price. And I recommend you always get 3 prices of anything. You always get 3 of anything. So I know it's a lot of money, and it's so easy to take a court-appointed attorney. But what will happen is they'll give one to your kids. Suddenly, if you have 6 kids, you got 6 court-appointed attorneys. Then your wife will have one, and you will have one. That's 8 court-appointed attorneys. And they're not going to work together or help you. They just want to push the case along and be done with it. They want to push the case and be done with it. Now, I'm sorry, Crystal, if I ignored you. I didn't realize you're in the room. We have a guest tonight, not a formal guest, but a person that has texted me. Her name is Crystal Sandoval. She's been on before. Welcome, Crystal. So glad to see you. Okay. Crystal is sharing that she says ruining their lives, being abused, made the foster care home. Yes, foster care is awful. I agree with you, Crystal. Where are you from, by the way? I forgot what city and state you're from. Crystal further says they take them for perfectly good families and put them in on abusive situations, and they don't even care. That happened to me. I had 2 beautiful boys and a daughter that were kidnapped. And it happened to me in the year 2010, right after I lost my job of working 45 years. And it was just lay people calling in once a week, reporting how bad our kids are being taken care of, which was not true. They have to believe everything that lay people say or professionals say. So you're guilty until you're proven innocent. That is the only strange thing about CPS. You're guilty till you're proven innocent. Every other court of law, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. So you have that against you. You have that against you. Now, Crystal further says you need a human rights law, civil rights lawyer. Well, that's if you want to do a lawsuit. You cannot do a lawsuit if your case is open. But yeah, to do a lawsuit. But you need one that has worked with CPS. And I will emphasize Mr. Davis has. He's won millions of dollars in civil and lawsuits, both in federal and state court. He's the real deal. He's a pit bull attorney. He works out of Arcadia, south of LA. He has cases in San Bernardino, Riverside, LA County, and Orange County. He also has cases up in Merced County in Northern California. He has a case in Oklahoma. So he's a busy man, but he'll go to all the other states. So he can practice law there. So that's what you need to get. That's what you need to get there. Crystal, don't ever get a CPS court-appointed lawyer. They're working with CPS to take your kids away. I agree. You should never get a court-appointed attorney or a public defender. They won't defend you. They will not fight for your case. They have a caseload of 30 more clients. They don't have time for your case. They're going to go for the easiest way out. And Crystal, I still don't know where you're from, but hopefully you'll tell me soon. Now, Margaret, welcome, Margaret. You've been on before. My granddaughter told me she was given shots on her legs without a doctor. I have no idea why she was given shots. You need to look into that. I know that Margaret's been on the show, and I'm so sorry to hear about that. That is wrong. You need to find out and complain to the child protection system. You know, you can call in the police and do a report that your child is being physically harmed. And then I have Crystal Sandoval again. Don't trust those lawyers that would take your kids away. They're one of the biggest main people, the biggest, I guess you meant mean people that are in with it. They are not your friend. Get your own lawyer. Civil rights lawyer, no, it's a dependency lawyer. You want a dependency law, family juvenile dependency law. That's the area you're in. That's what you want. That's what you want. So, Crystal, if you could help me out and tell me where you're from. Also, Margaret, you could do the same thing. So we have two people in our room. My phone number's up. You can call me. I love to have you talk better than I talk. Now, I've talked about how the interface in this room, you're in this podcast, send me emojis. Some of you already sent me thumbs up and hearts, and thank you so much. I love all the hearts there. That's from Margaret King and from Bridget Gillard, Sharon Wallace, and Dominguez Magthesis. Thank you. Thank you. And I also like the thumbs up from Margaret King, Donna Yogasky, Shannon Wallace, and Dominguez Bennett. Thank you for that. Please check my podcast if you want to follow me. And also, if you want to be notified, check the podcast. Yeah, Margaret, I know your baby's traumatized. I'm so sorry to hear about that. I try to remember. I think, Margaret, oh boy, I think you're in Washington. Are you in Washington State, Margaret? I forgot where you are. And Crystal, are you in Nebraska? And I'm sorry your baby's traumatized. That's bad. That really is bad there. Yeah, there's a bad trust right now with various people there. So I have Margaret, Crystal, and Margaret has a Facebook, and I think she has a YouTube channel too. I'm YouTube handle too. But I warmly welcome all of you. I really care about you. I consider you family. I want to take care of my big family here. I'm here twice a day, and I always look forward to seeing you again and hearing your updates, what's going on. And you know, you're not alone. I'm here. I've been here for over a year. I'll be here through the holidays. I don't take any time off. I switch my time to times that accommodate me or so forth there. So there are 5 rules that I have, and I've already talked about one, getting a lawyer. That's the most important rule. Rule number 2 is to get all your paperwork organized into a notebook. And one of the most important documents that you can have is the incident time log. You want to keep track of all the incidents, and you won't remember 6 months from now, so you got to keep track of them. All you do is you write on the first line the date, the time, the location of people that are involved in the incident. The second line is a summary of what the incident was about, and the third line is the summary of the outcome. If you don't have the outcome, you can wait and come back later and put it in. Skip a couple lines, do the next incident. Incidents can be from social workers, police, school administrators, etc. Anybody that's done harm to your family or whatever they did like that. And try to use lots of college rule notebook paper and have subject dividers. Now, rule number 3 I talked about is you don't give up your children. You don't talk to social workers. That's so important. When you hear a knock at the door, don't jump and run for it. Go to the back part of the house and be careful, because nothing really good comes from a knock at a door. I've seen too many people shot at by police lately and killed. So don't answer the door. And if it's important enough, they'll leave a business card or a note or something on your front door. You can look at it later. Now, if you want to meet with CPS, don't meet at their office or in your home. Meet at a neutral site like Starbucks or McDonald's. That's where you can public record. You can public record at public places. Also, if you meet at your home, they're going to look for things. They're terrible about doing that. So, and if you take them to the office, they'll try to take your children away. Do not give up your children. Do not talk to them. Make sure you get an attorney. If they meet them outside, you say, I cannot talk further on this matter. It's a legal matter. I'm getting my attorney. He and I'll get in touch with you and we can meet. That's how you diffuse it. Because you by law, constitutional rights, are supposed to have an attorney represent you through all the proceedings. And a court-appointed attorney or the other kind of attorney is not the kind that you want. Not the kind that you want. I know, Margaret, your baby's traumatized. Anybody that's in the social service being pulled apart. You know, they say that, trafficking is illegal, but the child protection system seems to get away with it. They do all kinds of trafficking. Not only that, alienation is illegal, and they do it too. They try to alienate your children from your parents. It's really sad how they take away all for the spirit of money, not to help out families, all for the spirit of money. So if Margaret and Crystal can tell me your city and state or your county and state, it'd be much helpful because I'm trying to visualize where you guys are from. Okay, Margaret now has her Facebook page. They can harass parents too. Yeah, they know they do. And grandparents and elderly. They don't care about those kinds of parents. They're lying. They don't, it's really weird. It's all about money. It's all about money. That's all they care about. Oh, you're from Merced County. Okay, great, Margaret. I have Ian and something called a woman, but she goes by Allie from Merced. I have like 3 people this morning from Merced County. So you're the 4th person, Margaret. And I'm so glad that you have been following me and so forth. Working undercover, following the parents. That's a hard thing to do undercover, but yeah, you're trying to help out. I think Margaret's the one that told me that her son's wife has issues, and that's why they lost the children. I think that's what Margaret told me. And Crystal Sandoval, I still don't know where you're from, but it'd be nice if you can tell me. Now, rule number 3, I talked about Don't open the door. Don't let them in. Do not talk to social workers. Do not surrender your child. There's only 3 ways to get into your home. 1, you give them permission. 2, there's a case of domestic violence going on that's so bad that the parents are swinging each other, they have to intervene. And lastly, if they have a warrant, they can get in. But the warrant's got to be a legit warrant. The CPS has a bad habit of putting out fake warrants. So you can be really careful that's the real thing. Really, really careful. And Margaret's talking about undercover investigators they follow. But yes, she does have issues. I wasn't even at home. The worker came into my house. Oh boy. First of all, they're not supposed to come in your house and need permission or a warrant. So you can tell them to get out of your house. They have a bad habit of coming into the home or demanding to get into the home. I'll sick my dog on them next time. Okay, Margaret. Best thing to do is don't open the door. That's my rule number 3. Also, you got to be careful if you're outside and run into them. Tell them time out, that you need to speak to your attorney. He has to be present. Anytime you are involved in breaking the law, you're entitled to have an attorney present. And that's where you have to get advice from. So, if they try to break in or try to take something, you got to say no. And you definitely have to get that attorney. I know you're kidding, Margaret. I know. CPS is hard. I know it is so hard. Now, if anybody wants to call in or want to be on my as a guest, there's a fringe benefit. If you call in or a guest, you'll get a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis. I mean, absolute free. And he'll give you a good 15 minutes. Margaret says, yes, I agree. I have learned so much. Thank you, and Mr. Davis. Well, thank you, Margaret. Mr. Davis does have some really interesting talks. I was listening to his office hours yesterday morning, and I wanted to hear what he was talking about. And he talked about something really important, how you can lose your case right off the bat. Any evidence has to be subpoenaed to court. You got to have the person making it. Otherwise, it's hearsay. So I'm telling you, you got to have it in there. Also, the social workers know how to manipulate it. That's why you need a family juvenile dependency judge. That's the kind of judge you need. Someone that has that background. Now, my number's up. You can call 626-698-0990. And if you call me and talk on my podcast through my phone or you're a guest on my podcast, you qualify for a free 15-minute Zoom consultation, private consultation with Mr. Davis. All I will need is your phone number, your email, and your name. And I'll make arrangements of getting that in there. So if you be a guest on a podcast or call in on the phone, you qualify for a free 15-minute talk with Mr. Davis. Something really worth your time there. Should do that. Now we're halfway through my show, which is good. I've been talking about my rules. I've been talking about a lot of things. Be careful in medical trafficking that CPS does. You see, CPS gets away with trafficking, and they shouldn't have. They should not have. And it's sad because what it is that you go in with your child to urgent care or to the emergency room at the hospital and something's critical with your kid, and the doctor may say it's this or that. You don't necessarily have to be treated unless it's life threatening. But because of your resistance or discussing it, what's going to happen is that your case your children are going to be taken from you. Do not let them take you. They have to have a warrant. Just because they have a policeman doesn't mean they can take them from you. So be very, very careful about that. The other way is that you get 15 minutes if you talk as a guest on my podcast. I can take up to 9 of you. So that's a freebie thing that you can talk to Mr. Davis. He's the pit bull of CPS attorneys. He's the real thing. He will go to other states. Okay, Margaret said that I went to court this morning, and oh my goodness, there was so many people with no hope. I know what it is. Dependency court is a very depressing thing. You go down the hallways, and there's all these people sitting, waiting, and waiting. They ruin families. They really don't care about your family. Is mom going to eat? Okay. I'm broadcasting from home. I have a studio in my home, and I was just checking to see if I just fed my family their dinner a little while ago and before my podcast starts. So Margaret's from Merced County. I still don't know where Crystal Sanazar is from. Boy, wish I knew. It is a very depressing thing, Margaret, to go down the halls. That is really sad to hear that. Well, that's great, Margaret. Good idea to help support. By you coming in here and talking about your case helps others. I really appreciate you guys that come in here regularly and talk to me and listen and ask me questions. I will try my best to answer. There's no bad, wrong question. All questions are important. And believe me, I know what it is to be in CPS and have your children abducted and trafficked and alienated. That's so bad that they allow that to happen. It's all because of money. Social workers do it because of money. It's $1 trillion business that social workers are making. They're making it all for government. The government's always worried about where money is. Well, look at social service. That's where all the money is. Margaret further says, no proper help from these CPS attorneys. I agree. You should never use those court appointed. No injunction is needed here. And shut down here is plenty of proof. I agree with you, Margaret. I agree with you. Now, do you want me to talk about Course Digest, which is a question answer application, or is there a specific topic you want to talk about? The ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, or the 3-8 motion, or the 160 hearing? I have lots of topics I can talk about to help you. I just need you all to tell me what you'd like me to talk about. Well, they did have a protest 2 years ago in Sacramento on the steps of the Capitol building, but I don't know what ever become of that. They were trying to protest CPS, and a woman named Nancy Schaefer, who was killed in her 70s, was an advocate of fighting CPS. She wanted to abolish CPS and start all over again. But she was from Georgia, a senator from Georgia, and there's a lot of articles about her out there. So look them up on YouTube and listen to her. About the adoption process. Well, they found out that foster care makes adopting kids real easy. The normal adoption process takes years, and you have to be vetted. You have to be vetted to find out if your background's okay. You got to be vetted. But in foster care, they abuse the children. Well, I don't know, but they make $70 for one baby. Well, I think they get a lot more incentives in there. Money comes in freely. There's no way of the money being regulated. And foster care will abuse your children, and then their children will bully the other children. So it's really sad that foster care is so bad. I do not recommend foster care or court-appointed attorney. It's bad. It really is bad there. I know when they took my children, CPS was making $20,000 per child per month. That was $60,000 for 3 children. If 100 children in 1 month time, it's over $6 million for 300 children. $70,000. Okay, missing a zero there, Margaret. So they make it for one baby, $70,000. Well, I'll believe it. Again, where does the money go to? It doesn't go to foster care. It goes to the CPS social worker, the Child Protection System social worker. That's where the money goes. And it's sad. It's all about money. Money, 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 money. Now, I've got 20 minutes left of my podcast. If you all want to talk about something, shoot me a topic to talk about. I have over 120 tabs open up at different topics. They're different topics. Here's one: how to file a civil lawsuit. Washington, D.C. Guardian of Lightham. IDOA, how to file a complaint. Cherokee Tribe Reservation, Oklahoma. Nuck Trunk. Oh, I remember that one. Dad kicks a 10-year-old out of the car for becoming sick. How to file a concern on an appeal. Here's the ICWA Act of 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act. American Indian Movement. There's so many topics here I have. How to fight CPS. CPS, Bureau of Welfare and Social Services in Washington, D.C. Rise tips. Let's see what else we got here. Title 10 Amendment. Can you appeal up to a higher in CPS case in Ohio? How does our CPA and duties handled differently? How is CPS case closed? Dependency law. Fight CPS Child Protection Services. False allegation. 10 tips to effectively homeschool your kids online. Yeah, I know they sell babies. They make a lot of money. That's what the CPS is in there for, is to sell babies. What is on the jurisdiction checklist? Well, let's see. A jurisdiction checklist in CPS. What is jurisdiction report? Jurisdiction report is a comprehensive document that outlines your total sales, taxable sales, and exempt sales tax owed. Well, that's not what we want. We want something that is in CPS. How to prepare your jurisdictional disposition hearing. You have a petition filed by CPS and allegations against you. Understand the specific claims evidence will help you prepare. And so you need to report it with a checklist. Here's from Pennsylvania CPS checklist. The CPS checklist in Pennsylvania is a tool used reviewing cases and case status determination. The checklist guides you through important considerations, including jurisdictional acts and failures to act, culpability, and exclusions. So you have the case name, do the allocations occur in the county, assigned to the address, supervisor, then who is the preparatory for the act? The checklist, there's a type of abuse causing bodily injury to a child through a recent act or failure to act that could cause injury, impairment, and cause substantial pain. Fabricating or intentionally endangering or inducing a medical symptom disease, which results in potential harmful medical evaluation or statement. Wow. So there is a checklist with abuses, and it goes on and on and on and on. Definition in child abuse. That's really interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. So that's what's on the jurisdiction list there, Margaret. That's what I'm doing. Looked it up, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, we have about 15 minutes left, and you're welcome, Margaret. You're welcome. I'm open up to any suggestions. You have to be careful with medical trafficking, by the way. That's where you take your child to urgent care or to the emergency room, the hospital, and they take your child from you. You got to be very, very, very careful. If you're having a child, you don't want the social worker or the sheriff to be in your room. So you got to make sure you make a list of who's invited to your room having your baby. Okay, Margaret says something more there. She says, I'm studying more about CPS corruption and the laws that I did when I started nursing school. Good, Margaret. That's beneficial. I'm glad you're doing that. My rights in the law, she says. That's a good point. My rights in the law. Now, rule number 4 is you need to do your research, and you want to spend time on that. And it's very important how you phase your research. You start off with the city, followed by the state and the letter CPS. Now, if it's a small city like Athens, Georgia, you may want to put a big city with it. So it's Athens, Atlanta, Georgia. That way you're getting all you can with your question you ask about CPS. Enter it, and then they'll send you a link or an email that you need to hook up with them. Okay? The corruption in CPS is very sickening. Margaret further says she needs to know her rights about the law. That's important. Your civil and constitutional rights. You got to be careful about that. You got to be careful. Now, I don't know if Crystal Salazar is still here or not, but you want to tell me more about your case? That'd be great, Crystal Salazar. It seems like we start off with Crystal Sandoval, and then it shifted over to Margaret King. It's been Margaret King so most of the way, except we had a little bit. I think we had one other person besides Margaret. I thought we did. Just Crystal Sandoval. I'm going back up through the list of comments to see if I left off anybody. No, I just had Crystal and Margaret. Those are the two individuals I've had. Margaret says, I'm studying more about CPS corruption and the law that did when I started nursing school. She knows my rights and the law. That's very important. You need to do that. She said she lost a son. I'm not about to lose another child. When you lost your son, was that through adoption or was he killed? Margaret, was he killed? It's hard to lose somebody. I know it really is. I feel for you out there. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry, Margaret. Your son was killed. That's a tragic. You know, so many parents have told me that your children have died in the hands of CPS, and that's wrong. There was an infant, uh, 8-month-old infant that couldn't walk yet, and he suffocated or bruised badly and died in a pit ball of balls. It's a pit ball place where they throw those colorful balls at each other, jump in it. Apparently, he was suffocated and killed in that thing. So that was a tragic. And then he was in the hands of CPS workers who weren't watching. Who weren't watching. You can't bring back a life. Once a life is gone, you can't bring it back. And we have about 7 minutes left. My phone number is still up, 626-698-0990. You can call me during my show times, but I can't talk before or after my show times. And again, Vince's number is 888 888-6582. That's the office number if you wanted to hire him right away and become your court attorney there. Letitia needs Mr. Davis. I think she called his office already. Well, hope Letitia does. Letitia did lose a child. I remember her when she lost her son, too. He was in the pit ball. She's from Macon, Georgia. Ooh, excuse me. I guess we're getting close to the end of my podcast. It's almost 8 o'clock. I think being 8 o'clock, I need to close down the podcast. My time's up. I want to thank Margaret for sparring with me with all your comments. They're much appreciated. Margaret's from Merced, California, and I hope to see you again real soon, Margaret. It was good to see you. And then there was Crystal Sandoval. It's good to see you again. I still don't know where you're from, but it's good to see you. I know one time you told me where you're from, but that was a long time ago. So I'm going to say good night and God bless you. Please keep fighting for your kids. And Vincent will say a brief few words when I leave here. So God bless you and good night. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.